Another thing I want to talk about briefly, let's talk about some wrestling. Now, I grew up loving wrestling to death. Loving it. My dad told me he used to sit me on his lap when I was a baby. He'd sit me on his lap, he put wrestling on, and I'd be just like this, clapping my hands. I had a little dial. My mother got old pictures of it in photo albums. Me wrestling my dial, slamming it, doing things like that. And I grew up watching, everybody, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Coco Beware, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ric Flair, and the Four Horsemen. Who am I forgetting? I ain't gonna name everybody, but Macho Man, Iron Sheik, Nikita Koloff, Ivan Volkov, Sid Vicious, R.I.P. to Sid Vicious, Steiner Brothers, Demolition, The Undertaker, Abdullah the Butcher, so many names I can name. Grew up loving wrestling. I stopped loving it, I'd say, around 2005, 2006. Me and my brother Al were huge fans, man. And we just saw the change when it went to the sports entertainment era. It was already well into the sports entertainment era. This is around the ruthless aggression era. Yeah. And that was a pretty good era too. But after that, it just got like, and I started watching wrestling for like 6-7 years. I never thought I would do that, but I did. And then I started watching wrestling again to about 2012, 2013. Probably near the end of 2012 and the beginning of 2013 to now. When the Shield was popping, Daniel Bryan, stuff like that. Triple H was still around. He was still wrestling actively then. Randy Orton, always liked Randy Orton. Brock Lesnar was still wrestling then. And wrestling was good. It still wasn't like how I felt about it before. And then since Vince McMahon, for those of you who've been following wrestling since they got him out of WWE and now Triple H is running it, there's still things they need to do there's still things they can do that can make it better. It'll never be what it was because it's a different time now with social media. The business has been since exposed then, so people know what's what and all that. And they got the modern style, but you can't. It's okay to mix some of the modern. A lot of the modern stuff they need to get rid of, like a whole damn spot fest. A match is not a spot fest. Yes, we like to see cool moves and all that cool finishes, but it's not a spot fest or someone kicking out of everything. Like, stuff still has to matter. That's one of the big things of the old ways of wrestling that still matter. Stuff you do has to matter. Moves you do, your facial expressions, the promos, being on the mic, that's very extremely important to sell yourself if you're a heel or a baby face or whatever. And that still can get better. But overall, the WWE, namely, pretty much only WWE, since Vince McMahon has been gone, it's been doing well. I mean, I'm not just going by the numbers with the sale. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the actual performing. Is there still things they can do better? Yes, still a lot of things they can do better and change and pushing the right people and things like that. Wrestling is pretty dope now, and it actually has me want to watch again. It actually has me want to watch the pay-per-views again. Like, I'm getting back to that again, where I got to see this. I want to see this, And two of the main people who are on the younger side in the future of the business, Jacob Fatu and Bron Breakker, who was the son of Rick Steiner and the nephew of Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. And Jacob Fatu's father, the Tonga Kid. Some of y'all ain't old enough to remember him. The Tonga Kid. That's his dad. And also his uncle was the late Umaga. R.I.P. to him. And those of you who don't know, Jacob Fatu is part of the Anoa'i Fatu family dynasty of The Rock, Roman Reigns, Rikishi, the Usos, all of them, and him and Bron Breakker, man. I mean, Jacob Fatu, I was so happy when he came. I had that feeling again for wrestling when he made his debut, because we heard about him coming, and when he made his debut, he's been to the moon ever since. And then people spoke highly of Bron Breakker back when he was on NXT, because NXT used to be super dope back in the day when it's the black and gold brand. NXT is just, I'm sorry, NXT it's a couple bright spots. Bron Breakker was one, but now he's on the main roster. But NXT, man, is a mess. NXT reminds me of like bad '90s WWF back when it was WWF. That's what it's like. A lot of people that can't work well, and the thing is with NXT, a lot of those people, I think NXT shouldn't be on TV. I think it should be like just a YouTube type thing, or how they used to do OVW back when Rip Rogers and Jim Cornette were running it back. That's how you got Batista, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin. Who else am I forgetting? John Cena. All those people from that class under those guys from that time, and they didn't have OVW, which OVW is that's a TNA breeding ground for wrestlers now, but Ohio Valley Wrestling. They should do it like that and not have it on television, on broadcast television. They shouldn't, because a lot of these people are being exposed. They're not ready yet, and some of them may never be ready. That's another thing too that they have to change with wrestling today. Back in the day, wrestling, you had to be special to be a wrestler, a woman or a man. You had to be special. Now they're just letting anybody come in, whether they're athletic, if they're big, strong, okay. And some of these people are too small. Not saying you have to be a certain size, because some people have proven that were small that are some of the best wrestlers we've ever seen. Daniel Bryan's not a big guy. He's about 5'10", 5'9", about 200 pounds. One of the best wrestlers ever, So it's not really about size anymore, but you do have to look like you could do something out there. Now, most people say, well, what about Rey Mysterio? Well, Rey Mysterio was a whole different style. He was Lucha Libre. No one ever seen that. That's back when WCW was hot for the short time it was hot. Yeah. And you see later in Rey Mysterio's life in his wrestling career, he's probably about to retire soon. He bulked up and, got a, big physique, Now, also back in the days in the 80s and all that stuff, we know, and probably still might be some people now doing it because there's better steroids and other ways to get it into your body, and stuff. People got more knowledge about steroids, but back in the day, that was like the main thing. You had to be on steroids. That's why some of those guys are so huge, and even the little guys are like, hey, you need to do this, So I'm glad it's not super roided up like what it was, but it's still, there's still some. Let's be real, there's still some PEDs being involved with some of these people, but they should put NXT. They'll never do it because it's probably too much money invested in it and contracts, TV contracts. But whenever they get out those contracts, I think they should do it like that. Don't put it on TV, because a lot of these people are not ready for TV, and you see it in the matches, the botches, all that stuff. It's just, it's not helping their careers. But, especially if you call it developmental, then you should have it on national television. But back to my point with Jacob Fatu and Bron Breakker. Like when Jacob Fatu, which I watched Jacob Fatu on the Independence and on MLW, that's where Major League Wrestling, that's where he had his most success thus far in his career. And when I seen him at the time, he's about 280, between 280 and 300 pounds. And the stuff he's doing now with the acrobatic flips and moonsaults and gracefulness and all that stuff, he was doing then. So when he made the debut, he was about 235, 240. So someone must have gotten his ear, or he must have figured, okay, I can do what I'm doing, but let me lose weight for longevity in my career, because obviously he has a great wrestling family that he can get, words of wisdom from. And then he's been doing his thing, man. He's been killing it as part of the new bloodline with Solo Sikoa, and I see they brought in uh, Tonga, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, who are the sons of Haku, known as Ming. If y'all, those you don't know, but Tama Tonga is good. Tongaloa needs a lot of work. And he's been wrestling for a while because he was. People don't remember he was Camacho in WWE. No, was he Camacho or was he the other? I'm sorry, but he was portraying Mexican or whatever early in his career at WWE. But he's not a very good worker. He does a lot of botches. They got videos on YouTube with all the botches he does. So he needs to get better, Tongaloa. But back to Jacob Fatu and Bron Breakker, man, those guys are amazing. And Jacob Fatu is only 32. Bron Breakker was he 25? Something like that. So they both got a long time, though, they can stay healthy and everything, to really be the next guys to take WWE into the next 10, 20 years. Because that's the thing that's missing too. They weren't building new stars. They were getting a lot of these indie darlings, and then they get buried. Because under Vince McMahon, they would get buried and, booked wrong, and, it was just terrible. And they haven't built the next Stone Cold, next Rock, the next Hulk Hogan type, any of those types that could lead the business for decades to come. And I believe those two guys are the main guys. Like, yeah, you got Cody Rhodes, who's an excellent wrestler. He comes from a great wrestling family, great wrestling minds. His father, the late, great Dusty Rhodes, and he's been doing this thing. Roman Reigns, he didn't hit his stride until they stopped forcing him down our throats, and he became a heel again. He was a heel initially with the Shield, and then he became a baby face with the Shield, and he became a baby face on his own. And then he was a heel. He's a baby face again, but he's much better now with his in-ring work, his promos. He's like he's the biggest wrestling star in the world right now. Him and Cody. And let's not forget Walter, who they changed his name to Gunther. But Walter been one of the best wrestlers in the world. Back when he's on NXT UK, then they shut that down. Then when he came over here, and Vince McMahon had him lose weight because you're going to be on TV, and blah blah blah. He did that, and and he's a world heavyweight champion, and Cody is the undisputed WWE champion. That's another thing they got to stop too. Make one belt. That way the belt matters more. And then another thing they should have never did. Don't get me wrong, those replica belts are awesome. They are fantastic. It's better than when we were kids. We did like the little plastic ones, So, but make one title so it matters more instead of two. You got the world heavyweight title, and you got the undisputed title. And they should just make one belt, one undisputed belt. And if you're going to have the Intercontinental in US, fine. If you're going to have the now the tag team, they have the World Tag Team, the WWE Tag Team titles. They should change that too. I guess that's okay, but if you have one World Tag Team title so the tag teams matter more. Because that's another thing that WWE still has to do that they haven't done. And they have to fix the tag team divisions. Those of you who remember, who are 80s babies like myself, you remember the best. Remember when, give me a second. Excuse me. Remember when the tag team division was dope. You had your favorite tag team. You had the Road Warriors, which Vince McMahon helped mess them up and called them the Legion of Doom. Everybody knew what's the Road Warriors. They were killing shit all over the world. The Steiner Brothers. Demolition was a very good tag team. Who else? The Outsiders. That was the NWO later on. Who else? The Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, Doom. Who remembers Doom? Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. The Skyscrapers. That Dangerous Danny Spivey and Sid Vicious back in the day. And later, after Sid Vicious left, it was me and Mark Callis, known to you guys as The Undertaker. Yep. Taking it way back on y'all. It's so many tag teams I can go through, but the tag team division was fire in WWF back then, WCW. They got to fix that now. Get the tag team division popping again with the men and the women. You know, get that popping, man. People like tag team wrestling, man. Get that popping again. You know, some of this stuff I guess we got to wait and see. But I'm just saying, that someone who's been watching wrestling for over 40 years, it's certain things that I know and that need to get back with. But Bron Breakker, Jacob Fatu are two of my favorite wrestlers. Two of the main people that got me wanting to see major wrestling again. And like I said, those two are the future, and I would love to see them. Rhea Ripley's been doing her thing. Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, you know, she's got injured recently. A few others.